Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I'm here with my good friend Chris Eymann, and we're going to be talking about the future of wholesaling. Now, Chris knows more than anyone. He's done somewhere around 14,000 transactions, has almost 25 years experience, still a super young guy, really spry. But we're going to be talking about what the future of wholesaling is in America. So welcome to the show. Chris, glad to have you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's good to see you. Yeah. I say this all the time. Part of the reason I do so many podcasts is because, you and I have been friends for a long time, haven't chatted for a little while. And so it's always a great way to use it as a vehicle to shoot some good content, but also to catch up a little bit. So always good to see you.
Yeah, no, it's always that's why I kind of jump on shows. And actually I run a local podcast for my RIA just because I get it's an excuse to catch up with people.
Yeah.
And like you said, and share 30 minutes, whatever, 40 minutes, however long your podcast is. Mine's only 30, but yeah, it's just it's a way to catch up.
Yep. So you have your ear to the ground like few, but before we kind of jump into what's going on with the future of wholesaling, maybe a little bit about what's going on in today's market, why don't you share your background for those that don't know you?
Yeah, so I'm a local Phoenix guy. High school, college, played college basketball, did the tech world for about 8 years, got laid off twice in the tech downturn. That was my kind of, when you've been laid off twice, it's well, this doesn't work, so let me go find a place where I can go work and not be controlled or told what to do and when I can work and when I can't. So ended up getting into real estate, and then becoming a real estate wholesaler. Really, I was just buying houses at the foreclosure steps, but this is 2000, so way before anybody. And they're like, what are you doing? You're buying house at the courthouse? Yeah, I buy them, I fix them up, I sell them, I make 20 grand, 25 grand. Oh, can you get me one? And then anyway, before I know it, I was buying a house. This is before texting and all the stuff. You literally had to dial somebody's number. I got 123 Main Street. I bought it for 100 grand. You can have it for 1025. I can set up the hard money for you. We got to pay for it by 5 p.m. tomorrow. And I was a wholesaler, I think, before the word was invented.
Before it was cool. Yep. And just talk about the evolution. Talk about that a little bit more, because you started doing it the way you just said, obviously. And then what a lot of people don't know is the auctions in Arizona are daily, right?
Yeah, daily. So and then I started in Phoenix. I did a little, the Texas stuff in the 04, 05 area, the Super Tuesday. We were
1 day a month in Texas, right?
Yeah, 1 day a month. Yeah. So anyway, built a hard money company. Ended up getting a $100 million line of credit. So that's about 2002-03. Started in the hard money company. We started with a $25 million line. Then we went to a $100 million line. Unfortunately, that came with a personal guarantee. So when the music stopped, I got wiped out in 08. I lost $4.8 million on my taxes. Then had to basically rebuild, lost $1.5 million of friends and family money that I spent from basically 09 to 15 paying back. And then, regrouped, restarted, went back to foreclosure sales. I was lucky enough to get a Goldman Sachs account where my single purchase in 1 day at trustee sale was 27 houses. They were only paying me $1,500 a house, but when it's, 10 a day, 15 a day, definitely helps. Did that with my partners and some local lenders here that we used, because you had to buy it, hold it for 10 days till the title came in, and then sell it to Goldman. And so it was the net on it was probably only maybe less than $1,000 a house, but it was still busy and we're still booming. And then Obviously 2017-18 comes around where equities really kind of hockey stick in, and that's when that's when I started. I went into a mastermind where I met you, and then um, I had to really went into that mastermind only because I needed to start transitioning from foreclosures to direct to seller and all the other acquisition strategies, because just the auctions were, coming down, and
Yeah.
didn't realize it was going to come down as far as it did. But I was still planning to keep the volume up, but the trustee sales weren't going to keep it up.
Right. I think the important thing here is like you've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it for a long time, but not nearly as long as you. And it's just when you've been through a few market cycles and you've been through, some shifts in the model and stuff like that, like you learn a lot about you just gain a lot of wisdom about how to move forward. And on some levels, I hate to use this word because you got to knock on wood here, but it starts to make you a little bit bulletproof. Like which tools to pull out in which market. And I think the market we're in right now, a lot of people left just because they only knew an easy time. Things got hard, and then they moved on to something else that for them seemingly was easy, but quite frankly, whatever it was will also get hard.
Yeah.
and there's a lot to be said for just riding the markets and figuring out how to ride those markets and use different tools rather than jump into the next, shiny object, right?
Well, and those shiny objects are great. Like, call it, late kind of 18-19 cold calling, shiny object, worked really well. Follow that into, early 2020 texting, shiny object, but worked really well, right? So
Yeah.
some shiny objects are good when they get started out, and then there's some issues with them, just and to the point of like other shiny objects like disposition strategies, novations, shiny object. Guess what? When the market slows down or comes to a halt like it did in 2022, yeah, novation's great because it maximizes the dollars in the that transaction. But if now all of a sudden your transactions are 30 to 60 days and they go to 6 months, well, hey, when you were talking to your seller and you're saying like, hey, I'm going to get you out of this house, and it was kind of like a 30 to 60 day conversation versus a 6 month conversation. It's a completely different thing. So like, all the different shiny objects hit, but like sooner or later you got to be able to pivot those. And I think I remember going to the mastermind in like December of 2022, and it was like everybody had switched to novations, and it's like this guy, they're like, what are you doing, Chris? I'm like, always just been, yeah, I take a novation every now and then, but the wholesale works, right? And they're like, oh, the market sucks. I'm like, oh, distressed people have to transact. So it's just what point do they transact? Do they transact at 73%, or do they transact at 68%? But they still have to transact.
So let's talk about a little bit about kind of the role of legislation. Like you've seen a lot over your years, and so there's kind of more legislation than ever kind of happening right now, or it's been rolling out. Just the role that has on the wholesaling market specifically.
Yeah, so obviously you got the states that are like South Carolina, that's like wholesaling's illegal. I think Oregon was the same. Then you got other states that are just like, hey, you have to be a licensed agent to wholesale. I think Illinois is that way. Arizona put something in place, but it's just like, hey, you have to disclose that you're wholesaling. So your contract has to say, hey, so it's just kind of, we work around it by like, hey, we do a lot of different strategies. We do some fix and flip. We do some Airbnb. We do some wholesale, but it's not like, hey, we're going to wholesale this property. We just kind of put it in the contract that, hey, we got a lot of different strategies. We might wholesale this one. But that's kind of our goal. But at the same time, it's not every goal. If we get a really good one, and that certain neighborhood that moves in 30 days, no matter what the market's like, we'll fix and flip that one. If you know your market, like, hey, we never see one in this neighborhood, we'll keep that one.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the power of your list. So I know you have a huge list. You've helped a lot of people with Dispo too because you've been doing it for a long time. And there's a lot of power in not just having a big list, but kind of having these relationships that there's people on there that are going to be transacting in any market, right? So let's talk about kind of the power of the list and how you, I guess, kind of how you manage your list in those relationships.
Yeah, so I mean, when you have a big list, it's hard to like, have kind of your pocket buyers. Like, hey, I'm gonna give Steve his, I mean, obviously you're trying to compete at the acquisition level, so you have to beat out those guys. So to beat out a lot of other guys, you got to be able to sell them for higher than everybody else. So that's where the big list comes into play. Obviously, being in the business 25 years helps because I still have those guys that, were in the business 10 years ago that joined the list and, maybe they're not in the fix and flip business, but they, and it's kind of building a brand. When you've had a brand for 25 years in this
Yeah.
business, I mean, there's actually something to be like, oh, well, if you buy, well, I don't know this guy that just started emailing me last week or last year, but this guy over here, like if you watch his list, like he's been in the business for 25 years. So you're not that wholesalers get a bad name, but some of them do, right? So it's like, hey,
No
so
doubt.
a little bit of a list, and you see that email. I'm not one of those guys at wholesales where I send each individual house and I send you like 6 times a day. I'm like, one email, here's my list. So
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about the list because there are a lot of wholesalers out there that put stuff out that are they're kind of bullshit numbers, right? And so
yeah.
people just like start to like unsubscribe or hit spam or whatever. So how do you kind of manage trying to sell for a maximum price, which you want to do, and putting out deals that people don't just tune out to you because it seems like it's too high? Like how do you manage optimizing price and not pissing off your list?
Well, yeah, it's just kind of like once again, it's that market. If it was COVID and I'm selling a house you're gonna put on the market and get multiple offers, $10,000 over. I mean, I'm probably selling that at 87 cents in the dollar. I mean, it's just that's what it is. And if it's current times and MLS inventory's up, and so some wholesalers or some fix and flippers just like, oh, there's plenty right here on MLS. I'll just shop that. I get my inspection period. I can renegotiate the price. Obviously, then I got to be selling stuff I got to make you get off the fence to buy the house. I got to be selling you stuff
Right.
at 68, 69%, 70%. So yeah, it's just market conditions that dictate that. But I don't know. The good thing about it is like, I do the local RIA and every good educator, well, every educator, not even good educator, every educator, right, says, go check out your local RIA. You know any educator that doesn't say that in their class?
No.
So So I'm just like and I don't charge for my RIA. It's every third Tuesday, and it's kind of I don't spend a bunch of money marketing on it. I just it's on Facebook. Everybody refers. Oh, go to Chris's Phoenix RIA. And all I'm doing is collecting your name and your email address and your phone number. That's all. It's free, but I I don't know, 2,000 new names. And all they got to do, all they're saying is, I'm thinking about getting into the fix and flip space or the wholesale space. I
Right.
went to somebody's presentation. They said go to the local RIA, and here I am. So,
Yeah. 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 So let's talk about obviously you talked a little bit about fix and flip. You're a lender, so you lend to a lot of fix and flip folks or maybe some landlords, but you do a lot of wholesaling. So you're involved in every exit strategy one way or another. And I think you would agree with this. It's a little bit of it's a bad idea to really just kind of have one exit strategy and that's all you do ever and you're unwilling to do anything else. So maybe share some of your wisdom of all the deals and all the time you've been doing this about the importance of kind of having multiple exit strategies in your
yeah, so
toolbox.
I jump on a podcast with a buddy. And he likes to, me, I'm not a super talkative guy, especially in rooms. So, like, I can't run a podcast without having a co-host that is good at putting all the little sound bites anyway. His name's Luke, but obviously in 2021, 2022, like I said, 10 grand over asking, all the stuff. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, great, keeping everything. I'm like, you're not wholesaling any? And he's like, no, I'm not wholesaling any. I'm like, maybe you should like rehab 60% and then wholesale 30 or 40%. He's like, no, it's just too much money, too much money. And then obviously when the music starts in April, May of 2022, like, I'm like, how's that keeping everything going for you? Because as we know, if you are a fix and flipper, it's the down payment money. Now, maybe you have a private lender that gives you 100%, or you got some gap funding, but it's the down payment money, the rehab money, the Binzer costs, like, and if you have interest payments to a hard money lender like me, I mean, you get 10 to 15 projects, and then money's just going
Adds
out
up.
the door, right? And then if
Yeah.
they're not selling as fast, then your cash cycle lengthens and the cash isn't coming back in. It's just, that's why, same thing that I talked about earlier with novations, like everybody was like, I'm going to do novations. And then all of a sudden, contracts are, instead of 30 to 60 days, there's 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. You know, you didn't set that expectation with your seller. It's just like, that's why I just, I do my fix and flips, I do new builds, but my wholesale is just like the way to keep the cash machine moving. So, and then same with, having, once again, when the wholesale slows down, it's kind of interesting because I am a hard money lender. If the wholesale slows down, the cash doesn't turn as fast, but the interest checks still keep coming in. So, once again, you get cash in the door.
And I mean, maybe share a little bit about where you see the market kind of headed. I know Phoenix is not necessarily indicative of the whole country, but it's been a hotbed for wholesaling activity. So where do you kind of see the marketplace going over the next, couple of years even?
Obviously, real estate's kind of, super local. Obviously, you have California, Texas, Arizona, Florida, all the kind of I think there's only 10 to 12 states, and you may know this answer better, that, make up kind of 85% of the wholesaling transactions in this country. But Phoenix actually being one of them, we had, a decent spike in inventory, and it's kind of come back down 20%. So I feel like it's kind of leveled off. I think, I just think it might be weird for people to have just a normal, stable market where you actually have to buy a house, you have to do a good job of rehabbing it, you have to market it properly, maybe even stage it and sell it. We had the hockey stick up in 05, 04, 06. Then we had the complete crash. But literally from 9 to 22 was a steady. Now, granted, we'd come down 80% or 70%, but it was still a steady like 5-10% every like little hill climb. So, it's interesting having a little extra inventory on the market and actually having to, get out your pen and paper and, go back to the drawing board and restructure and, do I actually have to stage this house to make it look right and make it look pretty? Because I just can't throw it on the market and get multiple offers. So,
Yeah, I think, I think most people think that interest rates will start to come down, certainly by May of next year, because there'll be a new Fed chairman by then at least. But,
yeah.
it's yet to be determined like how big of an impact that will make on, I mean,
Well, I
prices
thought
are,
it was,
even if interest rates come down, prices are still, I'm not I don't know if I believe that prices will come down. I just don't feel like they will. Like interest rates help, but housing is just generally unaffordable in your market and my market. I mean, Dallas used to be an affordable market and it's not anymore.
yeah, definitely a lot of people move from other parts of the country into places like Dallas, like Arizona. I mean,
Sure.
Arizona definitely was affordable, but when we had so many people come in from California during COVID, they definitely
Right.
bought a decent amount of property. But, even like stuff should adjust. I mean, like the jobs report that came out, whatever, 2 weeks ago, and then they adjusted the May and June's job report. Like the May's job report was like, oh, we generated 170,000 jobs. Oops, let me change that one. It was only about 17,000 jobs. And I
Yeah.
think the June numbers were very similar. So, they expected this last jobs report to be like 170, 180,000, and they came out with like, oh, it was like 70 something. Like, where do they adjust that down to? Like, oh, we made zero jobs. So, I
Right.
mean, if that keeps going in that direction, sooner or later, like someone's got to say, hey, um, we got to lower rates to start picking up small businesses and, get stuff moving. And I mean, you and I both
Yeah.
know that, like, hey, you lower rates for the fix and flip guys, they'll go start buying houses. And when the fix and flip guys are buying houses, they're spending money. Their insurance, Home Depot, like, you know, paying trade people to do trades. Like everybody
Right.
starts spending money.
Yep. Yep. So, Chris, talk a little bit about the connection of you have a good size hard money business. You wholesale, so you are able to fund a lot of your wholesalers. Maybe just talk about, I guess, kind of multiple streams of income and how those things maybe fit together. And, it could be multiple streams of income without being a lender, but just talk about the importance of maybe having multiple streams of income, given that the markets go up and down and sometimes people need to have a little bit of a backup plan sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just even like let's say you're a fix and flipper and you don't have a hard money business. A lot of fix and flippers do their fix and flip business and then they transition to like maybe even a real estate coach, right? So you could be a real estate coach and means you're in the business 8-10 years. Another guy that I know, Lex down in Florida, like he's got his real estate business. Then he transitioned to a real estate coach, and then now he's got such a big following in his real estate coaching business that he wholesales to that, and then he's saved some money. He lends to those people, like, but yeah, just having not just being the fix and flip guy, or not just being the wholesale guy, or anything, or for me, it's um wholesale and hard money. But like I said, when the wholesale transactions stop slow because the retail market slows, the money just stays out longer. So you have somebody still paying the interest payment. And I don't, my hard money company in Phoenix, because the rehabs aren't so drastic. Now, there are plenty of rehabs that are 100, 150 grand, but Phoenix is such a new city that most of the rehabs are, more cosmetic. So like, I don't have to put out the rehab money. Generally, people come borrow money from me, still do their 20 or 30 grand, paint, carpet, maybe some bathrooms and some cabinets. And so after putting a down payment and putting money into it, generally they're not going to walk away. So
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome, Chris. So anything else going on in the market or anything else that's kind of on your mind about maybe talk a little bit about just for wholesalers, like how they should be thinking about how to move forward. Some just have left the business, right? And they go back and get a job or they go do something else. But any kind of words of wisdom for folks that, let's just say people that are kind of newer or new in the business, what they should be thinking about right now.
well, obviously, if you're just starting out, like I think the biggest thing that everybody has is just obviously, you know, taking that first step, right? Trying to do a house, whether you win or lose. Like if you think you're always going to win, that's not going to happen. I was telling you off the show, here I am, been in the business forever, and I thought like, oh, my daughter's a real estate agent. Let me do some fix and flips with her, and so she'll have some retail listings. I didn't make any money this spring. I did 5 houses, and I think I'm down like 15 or 16 grand. Now, my daughter did have like 25 to 30,000 in commissions, but I'd have just rather given her the check than did all the work and give her the check. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you got to take action to get the first deal. It's a little bit of a slower market. So, um, I always suggest going to a guy like myself if you're getting ready to wholesale, because it's hard to do the acquisition and the disposition at the same time. So, maybe go to someone like myself in your local market. I'm sure there's a guy in Dallas that wholesales a bunch, and you know, reach out to him, see if he'll buy it from you or partner to JV sell it from you. But then, get your cash back in the door and figure out the marketing strategies that you like, that are going to bring leads in, all different kinds, PPL, PPC. Those actually take a little bit more money. All the free ones are the door knocking, and you know, that's a whole different wholesale class. But yeah, just get your first couple transactions, put it back into marketing, and slowly grow your business.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems with a lot of newer investors is they try to get rich quick, and if they don't, they quit. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
just build the relationships. Like, don't worry about hitting a home run on your first 10 deals. Like, just worry about learning so that you can get rich for sure, not necessarily quick, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a comfortable life. I mean, if I didn't have the tech or the financial crisis, I'd be way further down this road than I was now. But, you know, things happen. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people got hit in 2022. I know a lot of people that got hit and got out of the business. I know a lot of people that got hit and be like, oh man, that was a rough 22. And I'm just like, yeah, you should have seen 07, 08.
Right. Yeah. 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 Awesome. Well, Chris, you got a lot of things going on. If folks wanted to learn more about you or connect in some way, you've got your RIA club, you've got your lending business, you've got a lot of things going on in Phoenix. Like, where can they go? How do they connect?
I'm just, it's sellwholesalehouses.com. On IG, I'm obviously on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. So just Chris Eymann. There's only, I think, 2 of us or 3 of us in the country, so you can find me pretty quickly. So,
What was the website that you gave out?
I'm at sellwholesalehouses.com. That's my wholesale website for Arizona, Florida. We're in the Florida market. We're heavy in Tampa, doing a little bit of Orlando, probably be in Jacksonville spring. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, folks, go make sure you go learn more about Chris and connect if you can. So, Chris, thanks for joining us on the show today. Good to see you, buddy.
yeah, great seeing you too.
Yeah. Everybody, there's a lot of ways to make money in this business. I think the important thing is to get around some folks that have a lot of experience, because if you haven't ridden the wave of some different market cycles, you have a very small perspective on what could change or what will change. And so I think guys like Chris that know that there are things that are going to come back around, like bell bottoms. Some of the stuff's going to come back in style. It's just a matter of time.
Exactly.
And you just have to have different tools in your tool belt as to, like, here's what we do in this market, or here's how we're going to do things. And there'll be a time when some of the things that worked in the past will work again. It's just a matter of kind of riding those cycles. So make sure you get around some smart people. Appreciate you guys for joining us on the show. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.